Han Sol stared at the huge alien council chamber. His heart beat fast as he looked at the 27 different alien representatives seated in a perfect circle around him. Some had many eyes, others had scales or fur. All looked down at him like he was a problem to solve. "The council has reached its decision," announced Tulvik, the tall blue-skinned arbiter. His voice boomed through the chamber. "Humanity is too dangerous to join galactic society. You are unpredictable. You fight wars over territory and ideas. Your history is filled with violence." Han stepped forward. "We have changed. Earth has been at peace for 50 years. We have solved our climate crisis. We have." "Silence." Tulvik cut him off with a wave of his six-fingered hand. "Our decision is final. Humanity will be quarantined to the Sol system. No human ships may leave. No human communications may be sent beyond your solar system." The aliens nodded in agreement. Some looked pleased, others simply relieved. Han felt cold fear in his stomach. This wasn't just a rejection. It was imprisonment for his entire species. "How will you enforce this?" Han asked, struggling to keep his voice steady. A small green alien with compound eyes stepped forward. "We have developed shield technology that will surround your system. Any ship attempting to leave will be destroyed. The shield goes active in 30 Earth days." Han returned to Earth on the last shuttle allowed to make the journey. When he delivered the news to the United Earth Council, the room erupted in anger. President Kim slammed her fist on the table. "They can't do this. We are not animals to be caged," she shouted. Defense Minister Park added, "We should prepare for war. We can't let them imprison us." Han shook his head. "Their technology is at least 200 years ahead of ours. Any military action would be suicide." For days, Earth's leaders argued about what to do. Meanwhile, alien ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, setting up massive shield generators at strategic points. Scientists observed them, trying to understand how the technology worked. In a secret underground facility beneath the Himalayas, Dr. Lee showed Han Sol the information they had gathered. "The shield isn't perfect," she explained. "It has weak points where the generators overlap. Very small gaps that appear and disappear as the generators orbit." Han studied the data. "Could a ship pass through?" "A small one, maybe, with perfect timing. But we would only get one chance before they fix the weakness." President Kim called a private meeting with Earth's top scientists, military leaders, and Han. "We need an alternative to sitting here accepting our fate," she said. "I propose the Exodus Initiative." The plan was dangerous but simple. Build small, fast ships designed specifically to slip through the gaps in the shield. Each would carry just enough people and supplies to start a colony on planets beyond Council space. "The galaxy is vast," Han told the group. "The Council only controls about 15% of it. If we can get ships out, we can establish ourselves where they can't find us." Teams worked day and night to build the ships. They had to be small enough to fit through the shield gaps, but large enough to carry 500 people in hibernation, plus supplies and equipment to start a colony. Han supervised the training of the crews. "Once you're through, you can never contact Earth again," he told them. "The Council will be watching for any signals. You'll be on your own." As the shield neared completion, some people rioted. Others prayed. Most simply went about their lives, pretending nothing was happening. After all, the sun still rose each day. Only the stars were being taken away. The first ship, Pioneer, launched 29 days after the Council's verdict. Captain Sim Jin piloted it toward a predicted gap near Neptune's orbit. Everyone on Earth held their breath, watching on screens as the small vessel approached the invisible barrier. For a moment, Pioneer seemed to flicker and freeze as it touched the edge of the shield. Then it slipped through and disappeared into the blackness of space. Over the next week, 5 more ships made the journey. 2 were destroyed, their hulls crushed by the shield when the gaps closed too quickly. The crews of the successful ships sent back a single signal, the image of a phoenix rising, before cutting all communication with Earth. Han stood on the observation deck of Earth's moon base, watching the final shield generator move into position. The quarantine was now complete. Humanity was officially trapped in its own solar system. Or so the Council thought. In his hand, Han held a data chip containing the locations of 12 more shield gaps that Earth's scientists had identified. 12 more chances for ships to escape in the coming months. 12 seeds of humanity that would be planted among the stars. They think they've caged us, Han whispered to himself. But they've only forced us to be cleverer, more determined. Someday, we'll return, and they'll see what humanity can really build when challenged. As he looked out at the stars, now technically forbidden, Han smiled. The exodus had just begun. Captain Park Jun stood on the hill overlooking Novus Prime Colony. After 50 years, what had begun as a desperate camp of survival pods had grown into a thriving settlement of 10,000 people. The evening sun cast long shadows across neat rows of buildings and farm fields. In the distance, the colony's mining operations dug deep into the planet's mineral-rich mountains. "Captain, you're needed in the control center," said his second-in-command, Li Min. Park nodded. At 73, he was one of the last original colonists still alive. He had been only 23 when the Pathfinder slipped through the Council's quarantine shield. Now his hair was white, but his eyes remained sharp. Inside the control center, young technicians monitored screens showing the colony's various systems. Park remembered when all they had was a single portable computer. Now they had built their own technology, improving on Earth designs using the resources of their new home. "What's the situation?" Park asked. "Our long-range sensors detected a ship entering the system." Lee pointed to a blinking dot on the main screen. "It's not human." Park felt a cold knot in his stomach. For 50 years, they had avoided detection by the Galactic Council. 12 human colonies had been established on different worlds, all maintaining strict radio silence with each other and Earth. "Can we identify it?" Park asked. "It's a Council patrol vessel. Looks like a standard scanner class. Small crew, probably just doing routine exploration." Park considered their options. They could hide. The colony had been designed with this possibility in mind. Key buildings could be covered with special materials that mimicked natural formations, but the alien ship would still detect unusual energy signatures and metal concentrations. "How long until they're in visual range?" Park asked. "About 6 hours. Call the defense team. Get the shadow protocols started," Park ordered, "and prepare the trap." The trap was something they had planned for years, but hoped never to use. If discovered, they knew they couldn't outrun the Council. Their only chance was to capture any discovering ship intact before it could send a message home. Throughout the night, the colony transformed. Families moved into underground shelters. Workers covered buildings with camouflage sheets. The mining operations shut down. Only a small part of the colony remained visible, what would appear to be a small, primitive research outpost. Park waited with 30 colony defenders in the hidden bunkers surrounding the landing pad. They wore simple clothes and carried weapons disguised as tools. The real weapons, electromagnetic pulse generators and stunners, were hidden underground, ready to be activated. "They're entering atmosphere," reported Lee through Park's earpiece. Park nodded. "Everyone remember, we need the ship intact and the aliens alive if possible." The Council patrol ship was beautiful and terrifying as it descended. Sleek and silver, it hummed rather than roared. Park had not seen alien technology since Earth, and even then, only in videos. The ship was small, about twice the size of their colony shuttles. It landed on the pad, and Park forced himself to breathe normally. A group of colonists approached, looking curious but not threatening. They were the welcome party, scientists and engineers who could appear innocent while getting close to the ship. The vessel's door opened with a soft hiss. 2 aliens emerged, one tall with blue-gray skin, the other short with multiple arms. Both wore the distinctive uniforms of Council security forces. "Greetings," the tall alien said in accented but clear human language. "This is unexpected. Humans should not be in this sector. Bai Yume, the colony's chief scientist, stepped forward with practiced innocence. We're an independent research team. We've been studying the local flora. Who are you? The aliens looked at each other. The short one spoke into a device on its wrist. Park tensed. If they reported back to the council, everything was lost. Now, Park whispered into his communicator. Hidden panels in the landing pad slid open. 4 pulse generators rose and activated simultaneously. A wave of energy washed over the area. The aliens staggered, their technology suddenly dead. The ship's lights flickered and went out. The defense team moved quickly. The stunned aliens were restrained before they fully understood what was happening. Teams of engineers rushed to the ship, securing it and preventing any automated distress signals. "Captain, we have control of the ship," Lee reported 20 minutes later. No signals were sent. "We've isolated their communication systems." Park entered the alien vessel, his heart racing. Inside was a treasure trove of council technology, navigation systems, weapons, communication devices, and a library of data. More importantly, they had captured the ship's AI core intact. "This changes everything," Chief Engineer Kang said, her eyes wide as she studied the ship's control panels. "With this, we can understand their technology from the inside. Not just the shield generators Earth has been studying, but everything." Park looked at the 2 aliens, now awake and secured in the colony's holding facility. They would be treated well, but they couldn't be allowed to leave or contact their people. "What do we do with them?" Lee asked. "We learn from them," Park said. "Offer them fair treatment in exchange for information. They're our teachers now." That night, Park sent a coded burst transmission, just 3 seconds long, impossible for the council to trace, to the nearest human colony. The message was simple: package acquired. Knowledge follows. As he looked at the alien ship, now hidden in the colony's largest hangar, Park thought about Earth, still trapped behind the quarantine shield. Soon, they would send plans based on what they learned from this ship. Earth would build better technology, find more weaknesses in the shield. "The council thought they contained us," Park said quietly. "But they only forced us to spread further, grow stronger in secret. When we finally reveal ourselves, they'll face not one world of humans, but many." Admiral Kim's son walked the bridge of the HDF Defiance, the largest warship humans had ever built. At 500 meters long, it combined the best of human engineering with technology reverse-engineered from captured council vessels. The bridge crew worked efficiently at their stations, monitoring the ship's advanced systems. "Status report," Kim ordered. "All systems normal, Admiral," replied Officer Choi. "The new shield modifications are functioning at 110% of expected capacity." Kim nodded with satisfaction. 100 years after the exile, humanity had not just survived, it had thrived in secret. 30 colonies across different star systems now form the United Systems Alliance, a government completely independent from Earth, but sharing the same human spirit. "We're receiving a distress signal from Nova Colony," reported Communications Officer Kang. "They're under attack." Kim's expression hardened. "Pirates again?" "Yes, Admiral. 3 ships, stealing mining equipment and resources. Set course for Nova. Maximum speed," Kim ordered. The Defiance's engines hummed as the massive ship entered slip space, a method of faster-than-light travel that humans had perfected based on council technology. What made human ships special wasn't just that they used alien tech, it was how they used it. "The pirates don't know what they're in for," said Captain Yoon, standing beside Kim. "They think they're hitting an undefended mining colony." Kim smiled slightly. "They don't know about our defense network, or the ship." The journey to Nova Colony took only 6 hours, a trip that would have taken council ships nearly a day. When the Defiance arrived, they found 3 crude but heavily armed pirate vessels surrounding the small colony. The pirates had landed troops who were forcing colonists to load valuable minerals onto their ships. They haven't seen us yet, Yoon observed. We've arrived outside their sensor range. Good, said Kim. Launch fighters. I want those ground forces contained before they can harm any colonists. From the Defiance's launch bays, 20 small fighter craft emerged. These vessels, piloted by the Alliance's best, were another human innovation. Council races typically built large, powerful ships, but neglected smaller, more agile craft. Humans, with their history of aerial combat, knew better. Fighters away, reported the flight controller. Ground team deploying in 3 minutes. Kim watched on the main screen as the fighters raced toward Nova Colony. Meanwhile, the Defiance moved into position to intercept the pirate ships should they try to escape. Open a channel to the pirate vessels, Kim ordered. Channel open. Admiral. Attention pirate ships. This is Admiral Kim Sun of the Human Defense Fleet. You are attacking a protected colony. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire. The response came quickly. A barrage of energy weapons fired toward the Defiance. The shots dissipated harmlessly against the ship's advanced shields. They've made their choice, Kim said calmly. Target their engines and weapon systems. Disable, don't destroy. The Defiance's weapons officers worked with practiced precision. Beams of concentrated energy struck the pirate ships exactly where aimed. One by one, the pirate vessels lost power to their engines and weapons. On the colony surface, the human fighters had surrounded the pirate ground forces. Outnumbered and outgunned, the pirates surrendered within minutes. All pirate forces contained, Admiral, reported Captain Yoon. No casualties among our colonists. Excellent, Kim replied. Prepare boarding teams. I want to know who these pirates are and who they work for. The boarding of the pirate vessels revealed a surprise. The crews weren't from any known Council race. They were Norathi, a species from beyond Council space that had been deemed too primitive for contact by the Council. Kim interviewed the Norathi captain personally in the Defiance's secure meeting room. Why attack our colony? Kim asked. The alien, his gray skin mottled with stress, replied, We needed the resources. The Council races push us out of traditional mining areas. They say we are not advanced enough for Council membership, but they take our worlds anyway. Kim considered this information carefully. So you turned to piracy. What choice did we have? Die slowly as our people starve. After the interview, Kim met with her senior officers. The Norathi situation presents an opportunity, she said. They're victims of the same Council arrogance that exiled us. What are you suggesting, Admiral? Asked Captain Yoon. An alliance. We offer them protection and fair trade. In return, they provide us with information about other non-Council species and help expand our influence. Within weeks, the United Systems Alliance signed its first treaty with a non-human species. The Norathi weren't the last. As word spread of a powerful force that stood against Council exploitation, other independent species sought contact. 6 months after the Nova Colony incident, Kim stood on the observation deck of the Alliance headquarters station, watching ships from 5 different species dock. Each had come to discuss trade, mutual defense, or membership in the growing alliance. We're becoming something the Council never expected, said Yoon, joining her at the window. They exiled us thinking we would die alone in space, Kim replied. Instead, we're building something better than their precious Council, a true alliance of equals. A message alert sounded on Kim's personal device. It was from Earth, one of the rare communications sent through the quarantine shield. She read it and smiled. Good news, asked Yoon. Earth has successfully tested the shield disruptor. They'll be ready to break the quarantine within 5 years. Yoon looked surprised. After all this time, will Earth even fit in with what we've built out here? Kim looked out at the diverse ships docked at the station, human designs alongside those of their new allies. Earth was always meant to join us, not leave us, she said. When they break free, they'll find we've created something greater than anything the Council could imagine, a force that will soon be ready to reveal itself to the galaxy. Grand Admiral Li Jin stood on the bridge of the Alliance flagship Liberator, watching as the tactical display showed the incoming Council fleet. 50 warships approached the human colony at Proxima Centauri, their formation tight and disciplined. The Council had finally discovered the truth about humanity's secret expansion, and they were not pleased. "They're hailing us, Admiral," said Communications Officer Bai. Li nodded. On screen, the view screen flickered to life, showing the stern face of Council Fleet Commander Zaxel. His purple-tinged skin and 4 eyes were characteristic of the Vorn, one of the Council's founding species. "Human vessels, this is Commander Zaxel of the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. Your unauthorized expansion beyond Sol is a violation of quarantine. Surrender immediately or face destruction." Li stepped forward, his uniform crisp and his expression calm despite the threat. "Commander Zaxel, I am Grand Admiral Li Jin of the United Systems Alliance. We reject your quarantine as illegal imprisonment of a sentient species. We will not surrender." Zaxel's 4 eyes blinked in unison. "Then you will be eliminated. The Council has spoken." The transmission ended. Li turned to his bridge crew. "Battle stations. Deploy the fleet in pattern Omega." Alarms sounded throughout the Liberator as crew members rushed to their positions. Outside, 30 Alliance warships moved into a formation that would have seemed strange to Council tacticians, loose and seemingly disorganized. "They're powering weapons," reported Tactical Officer Kang. "Hold position," Li ordered. "Wait for them to commit." The Council ships advanced in a perfect wedge formation. Their lead vessels fired the first shots, bright beams of energy that sliced through space toward the human fleet. "Now," Li commanded, "execute Omega maneuver." The Alliance ships suddenly burst into coordinated action. Instead of maintaining their positions, they accelerated in different directions at high speed, making them difficult targets. The Council's first volley mostly hit empty space. "Launch fighter squadrons," Li ordered. From the bellies of the larger Alliance ships, hundreds of small fighter craft poured out. This was another human innovation the Council had never adopted. They believed warfare should be conducted with large, powerful vessels, not insignificant small craft. The fighters swarmed toward the Council fleet, moving too quickly for the large ship's weapons to track effectively. They targeted the Council vessels' sensor arrays and weapon systems with precise strikes. "The Koldar and Vorn ships are taking heavy damage," reported Kang, watching as the tactical display updated. "Their formation is breaking." Li nodded. Humans had studied Council battle tactics for decades. They knew the Council's rigid adherence to traditional formations would be their weakness. "Bring main vessels in for Phase 2, Li ordered. "Target their command ships." The Alliance warships regrouped and charged directly at the now disorganized Council fleet. The human vessels fired their main weapons, hybrid systems that combined Council energy technology with human guidance systems and explosive payloads. On the Council flagship, Commander Zaxel watched in horror as 3 of his support vessels exploded. "This is impossible," he hissed. "They're just humans." "Sir," his second-in-command reported, "their technology. It appears to be based on our own, but improved. Improved by humans." Zaxel couldn't believe it. Back on the Liberator, Li received a priority message from Earth. He read it and smiled. "All ships, be advised. Earth has neutralized the quarantine shield. Reinforcements are inbound." The bridge crew cheered. For 2 centuries, Earth had remained apparently trapped behind the Council's quarantine shield. In reality, Earth's scientists had been studying the shield, learning its weaknesses, and preparing to break free. The tactical display showed new signals appearing at the edge of the system. 20 ships from Earth, led by the massive dreadnought Phoenix. The Council forces, caught between 2 human fleets, began to retreat. Several ships surrendered rather than face destruction. Within 3 hours, the battle was over. The Council had lost 30 ships, with the rest retreating or surrendering. The Alliance had lost only 7 vessels, with minimal casualties. Lee received a secure transmission from an unexpected source, the Ceridian representative to the Council, Telomor. Admiral Lee, the elegant, bird-like alien said, "I wish to discuss terms. Not all Council members agree with this aggression against your people." "I'm listening," Lee replied cautiously. "The Ceridians, along with the Narvak and Joral species, wish to establish separate diplomatic relations with your alliance. We see now that the quarantine was a mistake." After the transmission ended, Lee's second-in-command, Captain Park, looked concerned. "Could this be a trick, Admiral?" Lee shook his head. "The Council is fracturing, just as we predicted. They'd never faced a serious challenge to their authority before." Later that day, Lee welcomed Earth Fleet Commander Choi aboard the Liberator. The 2 officers, one who had spent his entire career in exile space, the other who had lived under the shadow of the quarantine, embraced like brothers. "We knew you would break free eventually," Lee said. Commander Choi smiled. "We've been ready for years, waiting for the right moment. When we detected the Council fleet heading to Proxima, we knew it was time." Together, they reviewed reports coming in from across the galaxy. News of the human victory was spreading fast. Non-Council worlds were reaching out for alliances. Several Council member species were openly questioning the leadership of the traditional powers. "They thought they could contain us," Lee said, looking at the galaxy map showing human-controlled systems in blue. "Instead, they created the very thing they feared, a human civilization that expanded beyond their control, developed technology beyond their understanding, and built alliances they could never match." Commander Choi nodded. "And now, after 200 years, the real confrontation begins." Chancellor Yun Mai stood on the grand stage of the Assembly Hall on Planet Harmony. The hall was filled with representatives from over 100 different species. Some floated in special atmosphere bubbles. Others stood on mechanical legs. Many looked almost human. All watched her with respect. 300 years had passed since the Council had tried to lock humanity away in the Sol system. Now, Yun Mai, whose great-great-grandmother had escaped Earth on one of the first colony ships, was about to open the first meeting of the Interstellar Cooperative. "Friends, allies, and partners," she began. Her voice was clear and strong. "Today marks the end of one era and the beginning of another. The old Galactic Council is gone. In its place, we build something better together." The hall was silent. Many of the species present had once been part of the Council. Others had been ignored by it, deemed too primitive or unimportant. All now had equal standing in the new cooperative. 3 centuries ago, the Council tried to cage humanity. They feared what they called our unpredictability, our aggression, our danger to galactic peace. Yun Mai smiled. "They were right to fear us, but for the wrong reasons." Mild laughter rippled through the crowd. Even the former Council races could appreciate the irony now. What they called unpredictability was actually our greatest strength, adaptability. Where Council species specialized and stagnated, humanity learned and changed. Where they built rigid hierarchies, we created flexible networks. Yun Mai gestured to a group of Vorn representatives. Once the proudest Council race, they now worked alongside humans as equals. "We didn't seek revenge when we emerged from exile. We sought partnership. We didn't want to replace the Council. We wanted to transform it." Karntal, the Vorn delegate, stood and spoke. "The Council failed because it feared difference. It sought to make all species follow one path, our path. We were wrong." The assembly hall erupted in applause. It was still rare for a Vorn to admit mistakes. After the noise died down, Yun Mai continued. "The cooperative is built on 3 principles: self-determination, mutual defense, and shared progress." Screens around the hall displayed images from across the galaxy: mixed species colonies, joint scientific projects, combined defense fleets. Each member chooses its own path, but none walk alone. We defend each other, not because of treaties or fear, but because we are stronger together. We share technology and knowledge freely, knowing that lifting others lifts us all. An elderly human entered the hall, walking slowly with a cane. The audience fell silent again. This was Gil-nam, the last living human who had been born on Earth before the quarantine shield fell. At 215 years old, kept alive by advanced medical technology, he was a living link to humanity's past. Yu-mi helped him to the podium. His voice was soft, but carried throughout the hall. I was just a boy when the shield came down. I remember looking up at the stars, knowing they were forbidden. My father worked on the shield disruptor project. He told me something I never forgot. He said, "The council thinks they're punishing us, but they're just forcing us to become more than we would have been otherwise." Gil-nam looked out at the diverse assembly. He was right. Without the exile, humanity might have joined the council as a junior member, following their rules, accepting their limitations. Instead, we found our own way. We made friends they had ignored. We built technology they couldn't imagine. We created a new way for species to work together. After Gil-nam returned to his seat, Yu-mi unveiled a special monument in the center of the hall. It was a piece of one of the original quarantine shield generators, now transformed into a beautiful sculpture. Inside it, tiny lights showed the paths of the first human colony ships that escaped through the shield. "This stands as a reminder," said Yun-mi. "Attempts to contain others often just make them stronger. Attempts to isolate can lead to greater connection." The final item of business was the most symbolic. On a direct video link from Earth, viewers watched as workers dismantled the last remaining quarantine shield generator. For 3 centuries, it had been kept as a museum piece. Now its materials would be used to build a new interstellar beacon, one that would welcome all species to visit Earth. As the old generator came apart, cheers filled the assembly hall. Even species that had once supported the quarantine joined in the celebration. Later that evening, at a reception in the assembly gardens, Yun-mi spoke with Telemer, one of the first council members to break ranks and support humanity. "Did you ever imagine this day would come?" asked the bird-like Ceridian. Yun-mi looked out at the gathering, where dozens of different species mingled, shared food and drink, and built friendships. "My ancestors did," she replied. "Those first colonists didn't just dream of survival. They dreamed of creating something better than what they left behind." "The council feared humans would destroy galactic civilization," Telemer said. "Instead, you saved it from its own stagnation." Yu-mi smiled as she watched a group of young beings, human, Vorn, Ceridian, and several other species, laughing together at a nearby table. "The exile was the best thing that ever happened to us," she said. "It forced us to be creative, to be bold, to reach out to others who had also been dismissed by the powerful." As night fell on Harmony, the stars came out, thousands of them visible in the clear sky. Once forbidden to humanity, they now represented not just conquest or exploration, but connection. The galaxy wasn't just a place for humans to expand into. It was a community they helped build. Humanity had been exiled, but had returned stronger. They had been feared, but had become valued. They had been contained, but had created something that couldn't be contained, a new way for all species to live together.